believe we are live. Welcome everyone to Let's Talk Romance Books, and we are excited to have with us none other than Jill Shalvis. Welcome, Jill.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hi, everybody.
Jill Shalvis is a New York Times, USA Today, and Amazon Top 100 best-selling author of more than 20 million books sold worldwide. Known for writing sexy, funny, and full of heart romances, her stories are filled with small-town charm, adventures, shenanigans, and swoony moments that keep readers coming back for more. When she isn't writing, Jill can usually be found with iced tea in hand, chocolate within reach, and new happily ever afters on her mind. She lives in a quirky little mountain town near Lake Tahoe, surrounded by colorful characters, though any resemblance to the ones in her books are totally coincidental. So, to start, share with us something that made you smile today.
Well, my dog, he's 105, 110 pounds. We were told he's a black lab, but I personally think he's a Great Dane. He's massive. I was on the phone on a virtual call, and he came up behind me and tried to leap out that window after a crow.
Oh my God.
He just like slammed the window and started barking. So of course I couldn't, it was very embarrassing, but it did make me smile.
Okay. Ooh, okay. So, do you have time to read? And if so, what are you currently reading?
I love to read. It's my favorite thing to do. I consider myself a reader before. I mean, I was a reader before I was a writer for sure. I read everything and anything except for when I'm in the middle of a book. I can't read contemporary rom-com or romance. It messes with my head. I feel like everyone's better than I am. Just can't. I just take that temptation away. So right now I'm kind of on a romantic kick. Working my way through. I'm on the last book of the Fourth Wing series, Onyx Storm.
Ah,
And I'm reading it so slow because I know it's going to end on a cliffhanger and I'm mad about it. So I'm trying to read it really slow.
I know, I know. Okay, complete this sentence for me. When I wake up every morning, I
Have to peel a dog off my bed to get out of my bed. They're they're not allowed on the bed, but then they tiptoe, like they're big dogs and they can tiptoe up while I'm sleeping. And I don't sleep that heavy. I don't know how they do it. That's the first thing I have to do.
introduce us to your pets.
Well, I just made my husband take them to
Uh-huh.
go get dinner because he would be right here and my other white lab would be right here. And I just thought it'd be so distracting.
Yes.
They'll be back before this is over, so you'll see them towards the end probably.
Okay, great. Uh, Name one thing on your bucket list.
Well, that's the thing. I don't really have a bucket list because if I feel like I want to do something, I make it happen. I know that's kind of lame, but I do. I just love to go do stuff. Right now on my bucket list would be, I would really like to go to the UK and walk through some castles. I've never done that. And I'm just fascinated by castles. I'm reading these romances that have castles in them, and I want to see one in person. So that's like the latest thing on my bucket list.
That is wonderful. Maybe that's good for story. For
Yeah. I mean, it's research, right?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I have to go now.
Weirdest or unique thing you own?
I knew you were going to ask me that. And I searched this house. I mean, I am a weirdo just because all of us writers are, but I don't have a lot of stuff. But then I realized my husband pointed to my stack next to where I write. I have notebooks for each book.
Okay.
And so my notebooks are weird. Here's one. Times I was right and nobody listened. And it's just filled with notes for the book. My last book was Things I Can't Say Out Loud.
Oh,
Um, He Falls First, my notebook was my list of things I was right about. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. This was the bright spot. I don't know if anybody's read that, but I collect notebooks. That makes me weird. Like this notebook is just dogs because I love dogs and it's just like notes for my book. And then this one's just beautiful because it has books on it, but it's just a notebook. And then
oh,
this is the last one. Yes, you can.
those are.
And that's the weirdest thing I could find that I owned.
So, do you have any hobbies or particular skills aside from reading and writing?
Well, apparently it's collecting odd notebooks, but I am uniquely suited to do nothing else. If I could find a better job than writing, I would. I can't. There's nothing else I'm good at.
Not baking cookies?
Oh no, I'm horrible. I love to eat cookies, but
Okay.
I'm horrible at baking cookies. I mean, I love to hike. I love to ski. I love outdoors. We live in near Lake Tahoe on the California side, so we're very outdoorsy. And we paddleboard and boat and all that. We do all that fun outdoorsy stuff. But I don't have a cool hobby. I wish I did.
Well, I guess going
Reading, I
out
mean, that's a cool
adventures,
hobby.
yeah. Going out in adventures and
Yes,
that will count.
let's call that.
Yes. Now let's talk romance.
All right.
Did you always dream about becoming an author?
Well, my mom likes to say I was lying, making up stories is what I called it. She called it lying from before I could hold a pencil. Like I always had stories to tell. And then when I went to college, I went as a journalism major because I thought, well, I'm going to write stories and stories about the world, and I'm going to stand in front of a camera and tell everybody what's going on in the world. And then I kept getting bad grades on my stories, and because I was embellishing them, because it turned out I didn't like real life, I liked fiction. And so I said, well, what is this called? And my teacher said, lying. So I realized I had to turn from nonfiction to fiction and make a job out of this thing I've been good at all my life.
And why romance?
Well, I didn't start out as romance. I used to love to read suspense and thrillers, and I wrote what I thought was a suspense, my first book, and I turned it in. And back in those days, you had to go to the library and get like the list of agents and the list of publishers, and you had to send off your stuff. So I did all that. And about 3 months later, I got a call from a publisher who said, we want to buy your book. And I was like, great. And she said, well, I have some revisions. We're going to sell it as a romantic suspense. I said, but there's not a romance. And she goes, right, that's your revisions. I need you to add a romance to it. So I kind of fell into it. It worked
That's
out.
interesting. So,
It worked out.
so can you tell us about, so you write contemporary and any other, like the romantic suspense you
I
started
mean,
out, but what other genres or
I've
subgenres would you be interested
in
in?
my romances, I have sometimes there's a mystery, sometimes there's a suspense, sometimes there's an action adventure on the side. So I have all those subgenres in my contemporary romance and rom-coms. But I do kind of secretly have other stuff in the back of my head, different genres. I would love to write. I kind of have a supernatural story, and I have a story about three witch sisters, and I kind of have a wild, wild west story. But I'm sticking with what I know for now, and maybe someday.
Okay. What three important facts can readers expect to find in all of your books, in a Jill Shalvis books?
Well, for sure, happy ever after, because once I realized I was writing romance, that was it for me. I never looked back. I love writing romance, but it has to have a happy ever after, has to. The other two things might be real heart within the characters, depth. I think my people fall in love not because they're gorgeous, but they fall in love for their heart and their soul. So maybe some deeper emotion. And also, people say I'm funny, but the truth is there's also a lot of dark to my books because backstory is usually very dark because sometimes you can't, we're writing contemporaries. So if we're talking about conflicts, there's not a lot of conflict unless, there's no zombie apocalypse, there's no guns, there's no bad guys chasing for the most part, although I do that too. So I think that the backstory being dark allows me to be funny because then you can find the funny in the small moments.
Yes, I really. So tell us what inspired you to write
The
this.
Colburn Brothers.
Yes.
You know, this is a funny story. I don't know if I've told this before, but back when Tumblr was a thing, I was scrolling and I came across this picture. It was five guys, beefy built, good looking guys in lawn chairs and sitting in a semicircle around in front of a gravestone. And so there was no caption or anything, but it was obvious, and they were toasting a beer. So it was obvious to me like they were military and they had lost somebody. And this was a devastating moment, but they had come together, they were smiling and they were holding up a beer, toasting this person that they had lost, who clearly meant everything to them. And that picture stuck with me for so, so long. And I knew I had to start a series with that. So I don't know if anybody's read He Falls First, but that premise is the first book, the first brother, Ryder, Colburn, starts when he has lost his best friend and business partner in a tragic accident, and he just is stuck. He can't go on. And so there is that scene in that book with Ryder and his brothers toasting their best friend. And that was the first thing that came to me when I was plotting the Colburn Brothers. And then the second thing came to me was while they're there, they're in the city of Star Falls. It's a made up town on the Sonoma coast of California. And in Star Falls, there's a legend that says, if you look up at the sky and you see 3 stars falling in an arc in unison, you're going to find your soulmate. And while the brothers are there grieving the loss of Augie, they look up, Ryder sees these 3 stars. All 3 brothers see it, but both Caleb and Tucker pretend not to, because hell no, they're not going to fall in love. They don't want to find their soulmate. But Ryder sees it and he's terrified it's going to be true because he's been hurt by love. And so that's where I started with that series.
I'm an only daughter, and if I ever had brothers, I would love to have them, even
These
Kara, my
brothers,
sister, to have siblings like them.
yeah, I fell in love with them. I'm so sad because I just finished the 3rd book, which is coming out in July, Falling Into You. And I'm sad about it. Like what am I going to do now? I don't know.
Oh. So when you write, I mean, do you enjoy tea or coffee, or what do you
Tea. I don't
tea?
like coffee. I don't know why. I love candy that has coffee flavor. I like the smell of coffee. I don't like the taste of coffee. So I drink tea, usually iced tea, sometimes hot tea at night,
Okay.
all
And
flavors.
so you mentioned a little bit about both books. So Ryder is the first book.
Ryder is He Falls First. He's the older brother. He's the grumpy, grouchy, um, emotionally closed off older brother. And
Yeah.
they have quite a dark backstory, like I was saying before. These books are funny, but the backstory on these brothers is really deep and dark.
Yes.
And so he's just trying to overcome a lot of stuff, and he has no intention
Yeah.
of falling in love. Zero.
And tell us about Free Falling a little bit.
So this is the middle brother, Caleb, and he doesn't have the burdens that the older brother had to protect the other siblings. I mean, he had his time to do the protecting as well, but he's not as burdened by it as Ryder. He was a hockey phenom and he was going to go pro, and he got injured on the ice. And that was, his whole life. So he started working with Ryder. Ryder runs a restoration business where they restore historical landmark buildings back to their former glory. So Ryder works with his hands, and Caleb, when he got injured and was recovering, he was like, why not? I like working with my hands. And it turned out he loved architecture. He loves building. So he's kind of this, if there's trouble, he'll find it, but he's also kind of this happy-go-lucky he just is thrilled he's working with his brother. He's thrilled he's moved on to his life. And now he's trying to prove to his family that he can actually be a partner in this business, but they don't take him seriously because he has messed up so many times. And so he's just trying to prove himself. And who comes along as the architect, except for the one person in his life where he really did truly screw something up, and he doesn't even know why. He doesn't know how it happened. He doesn't know it yet. And she's now working on this job with him. She's the heroine. And it's enemies to lovers for sure. It's enemies to maybe almost friends to lovers.
What do you hope readers will experience or gain when they read this series or any of your stories?
Well, in both of them, the theme of found family is really strong, but especially in Free Falling, because here he is trying to prove himself, and here's this woman in his face every day, his the very living embodiment of his biggest mistake. And she also has secrets, and she's also trying to prove herself. And it's forgiveness, it's redemption, and a deep understanding that unless you walk a mile in someone else's shoes, you don't really know what's going on. She has a big problem that I'm not going to give away. It's a spoiler. And watching her solve her problems in a way that's like with grace, grace he couldn't imagine do on his best day, it changes something within him. And I loved watching him kind of grow up in this book. And
It's wonderful. I've read both books and I love them.
thank you.
And the pets, but we'll let readers
The
discover
pet.
those.
Pets are and so that's what I kind of was trying to get to with the comedy thing. When things get really dark, the pets can really save the day. And he falls first. There's a parrot who I originally wrote the parrot who only spoke in Taylor Swift lyrics because the heroine loves Taylor Swift and that's all she listens to. But when I wrote it and turned it in, my publisher couldn't get copyright to do that. I couldn't get the licensing to use the lyrics. So I had to go back and rewrite Peekaboo as the bird's name. And so now Peekaboo's favorite thing is to ask people about their poop. Did you poop today? That's what he loves to ask everybody. So that's when things are really dark in the scene and he wants to know if you pooped today. I mean, that's the way to lighten up the mood.
Yes, they are amazing. They do add the humor. Can you share what you're currently working on?
Well, I just doing finishing touches on Falling Into You, which is Tucker's the third brother story. And after that, I'm going to move on to a new series. And I still have a lot of question marks on that series. So I'm just now trying to lay down what the connection for the series is. For instance, in this series, Colburn Brothers, there's an ongoing mystery through all three books. And then there's the connection of the brothers themselves. So that's what I'm trying to nail down on this new series before I talk about it, but I can do that soon.
Where can readers find you?
I'm kind of everywhere. I have a website that I keep updated, it has a blog. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. And I love to hear from readers. So
And you have a newsletter?
I do have a newsletter and I do a newsletter every 2 weeks or so and spread Shalvis news if I have sales or something new's coming out, talk about my pets, pictures of my snow. We get a lot of snow here in Tahoe. So fun stuff. I hope you join the newsletter. You can,
Wonderful.
you can do that
Well,
at jillshalvis.com. It's easy to find me. Oh,
yes.
and if you join my newsletter, you get bonus scenes. And I have bonus scenes for both He Falls First and for Free Falling. Bonus scenes that you can't get anywhere else except for through my newsletter. So
Awesome. So everybody sign up
yeah,
and get some goodies there. Well, Jill, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all these information, little tidbits about your life and your books. And to everyone else, we will see you next week with another amazing author.
thank you for having me.
Bye.